I'm Nathan Scott, and this is Breakdown, a series on game design. So I'm a big fan of meditation. I meditate almost every day, and some of the most successful people in the world say that one of the keys to happiness and inspiration is meditating. Robin Arnott is a sound designer on games like Antichamber and The Stanley Parable, and he's a big proponent of meditation as well. He actually gave a talk on how meditation inspires him in terms of game design. Specifically, it helps him understand how to create a trance. The word trance has somewhat of a negative connotation, and some trances can be negative, like addiction and sometimes hypnosis, but some trances are positive, like flow, habits, and meditation. All of these are forms of self-perpetuating mental loops, as he defines it. They all keep you doing the same thing for an extended period of time without really thinking about it. So for example, one mental loop with meditation would be focusing on breathing. Another mental loop would be that when your mind starts to wander, you refocus on breathing. These two mental loops are self-perpetuating, which means they cause each other to continue going. As long as you're focusing on breathing and bringing your attention back periodically, it creates a sort of trance that you fall into while meditating. That kind of trance, a positive trance, makes you more relaxed and more focused after you get out of it. Robin Arnott mentioned the game Super Hexagon in passing, but I was actually already thinking about it before he mentioned it. Super Hexagon is an extremely intense, fast-paced game, pretty much the opposite of meditating. But while playing it, people tend to fall into the same kind of trance. It's actually often described as being relaxing. And when I'm playing it myself, I have to agree. But let me just ask you, does this seem relaxing? No, obviously not. If you're just watching it, it's hard to understand what's going on, and it's maybe even stressful. But this game has a similar kind of self-perpetuating loop as meditation. You control the triangle in the center, and your only goal is to move left or right to avoid obstacles coming toward you. One mental loop is to avoid obstacles, and the other one is that if you fail to avoid an obstacle, you can immediately restart when you die, with almost no game over screen.
Game over. Begin.
These two processes cause each other to happen and continue the trance that it puts you in. Robin Arnott says that an important part of a trance is bringing your attention back to the present moment. That's one of the big differences between a negative trance like addiction and a positive trance. Negative trances are often worsened because you aren't really thinking about what you're doing. Positive trances want you to return your attention to what you're doing. This is to prevent people from getting overwhelmed or mentally overloaded. Meditation constantly brings your attention back to the present when you start thinking about something else. Super Hexagon does that very naturally by bringing you back to a menu whenever you die. Like I said before, you can immediately jump back in, but by taking you back to the menu, it refocuses you on the present and gives you a chance to slow down for a second. And the biggest reason that works is that rounds are very short, usually less than 45 seconds, unless you've been playing a while. So an indirect result of that is that it's constantly letting you refocus so you don't get overwhelmed. This is actually one thing that games, or anything interactive, are inherently good at. Meditation creates a trance out of essentially the brain's version of muscle memory. It's interactive in the sense that you have to be constantly focusing your attention on something, which slowly puts you into a trance. And video games, such as Super Hexagon and hundreds of others, create actual muscle memory, which, when you combine that with the visual, sound, and self-perpetuating nature of it, creates a trance as well. It's a very different way of achieving that trance, but for some people, it still has a calming effect to it. If there's a certain game that you think has an entrancing nature to it, put it in the comments. And thanks for watching this episode of Breakdown.